Welcome to this session where we are going to listen to elevated message from the wise companion, or we could say our true friend, our spiritual father, or the supreme being. We will listen to a message and then get some explanation.
Do you know the specialties of spiritual fragrance? On what basis are you able to keep a spiritual fragrance constant and steady, and also able to spread it far and wide? That is, to make an impact with it. The main basis of this is your spiritual attitude. Let there always be the awareness that the spirit is seeing the spirit and speaking to the spirit. It is the spirits that are playing their various parts. I am a spirit and constantly moving along while under the canopy of protection of the Supreme Spirit. I am a spirit. I cannot have a single thought that is not according to the directions of the Supreme Spirit. The one who makes me act is the Supreme Spirit. I am an instrument who is made to do everything by the Supreme Soul. He is making me move, and I am moving. This is the meaning of being a spiritual rose.
Here we are hearing about the speciality of spiritual fragrance, and often the wise companion is said to be a gardener, and the children are the flowers or the plant in the garden. And the more spirituality we practice, the more spiritual fragrance comes from us. So the meaning of spiritual fragrance is the more we put into practice the message that we get from the Supreme Soul or the wise companion. And we are able to spread it far and wide. And we can do that in meditation. We spread vibrations either in our surrounding, or we can spread it far and wide by thinking about the world, thinking about all the souls in the world, and having good wishes and pure feelings in our thoughts, because the thought spreads vibrations. The spirit is seeing and speaking to the spirits. The Supreme Soul only looks at the souls. And when it's giving message or sending informations, the messages are meant for the special children who are listening to the message and following the directions and recognize the Father or recognize the wise companion and have the desire to follow the wise companion. I am a spirit and constantly moving along whilst under the canopy of protection of the Supreme Spirit, to recognize the Supreme and thinking about the Supreme being in remembrance is having that soul with me then I am automatically under the canopy of protection because I'm dwelling in this energy or this power that Supreme is radiating towards all souls in the world. But I have to pick up or connect to these vibrations and remembering who I am a soul, and remember that I, the soul, I belong to the Supreme Soul. And he is making me move and I am moving. It's like being an instrument. Instrument is like a musical instrument. You can say it's like a musical instrument. And when I listen to the message and relate the message, it's like the higher being is making me speaking, and I'm spreading the words or the wisdom, the knowledge that the higher being have been spreading out. And this is what we do in Brahma Kumaris. Brahma Kumaris has been spreading out through the whole world since 1969. And today, Brahma Kumaris is in over 120 countries. We are spreading this knowledge to all the souls in the world. Now we should listen to another message.
The spiritual roses are constantly engaged in spiritual service. Night and day, there is constantly spiritual service for them to do. Similarly, such spiritual roses always have the spiritual feeling that all spirits should take a right to their inheritance, just as they themselves have done. They feel they want to help souls who are under an external influence with their own powers that they attained from the Father and enable souls to have an experience. Spiritual roses never look at anyone's weaknesses or defects. They are bestowers who constantly cooperate using the powers and virtues that they have inculcated into themselves.
By being a spiritual roses is to dwell in this knowledge or keep this knowledge in mind, thinking about the message I get from the Supreme, from the Wise Companion. And like in the first passage, we were talking about spreading these vibrations, being constantly fragrant. It's like when I'm aware of who I am, I act accordingly, that I am a soul, I'm not a human being. I'm in control of my emotions and feelings. I'm like a ruler of myself, and I behave and react and respond in the way that I am a soul and I'm communicating with souls. So my activity and my personality gradually change accordingly to the message that I'm getting. And having good wishes and pure feelings, then I'm serving others, whether that's the souls that are close to me or the soul who is far away. We can spread vibrations wherever we want. And just by being in this awareness that I am a soul and connecting to the Wise Companion, I am creating an atmosphere that spreads. And I don't look at the form of person who's in front of me. I just remember that this person is soul. And whether they are rich or poor, it doesn't matter. And those who are in need, it's not just the poor ones that are in need, it's also those who have plenty of wealth, because most of the souls have lost their power and need spiritual sustenance. So by giving the knowledge, by giving good vibrations, by giving love, peace, happiness to others, I am serving and being cooperative. And to be cooperative on this journey is very, very important. These are very important times, and it's time to settle my things by being generous and cooperative and helpful. I'm also, while I do that, and I'm creating my fortune. So there's plenty to do, a lot of works in the world, and we can serve all the souls in the world by spreading the fragrance of the Father's message, with our attitude, with our vision, how we look at others, remember that they are souls, with our awareness, being aware of who I am and what I'm doing, and being in this remembrance that I am a soul and I belong to the Supreme Soul, and I can have the Supreme or the wise companion with me all day long. Om Shanti.
Thank you. If we can say thank you to the spiritual rose. So being a spiritual rose, like you described, is being aware of your original qualities and becoming that flower, becoming the one that gives a beautiful fragrance to the world. And is it possible to be a rose without thorns? Is it possible not to prick anyone? That is the greatest transformation from a character where there was anger and greed and ego to a character that is obedient and humble and merciful and full of love and joy. Such a beautiful nature as a beautiful flower. And everything is coming out from that spirituality. Everything that you do and you are, if it is qualified from the space of the spirit, it is a spirit, the one that becomes a flower. It is a spirit, the one that is aware of the suffering of many other spirits. It is a spirit, the one that can experience the company of the Supreme. And remaining in this company throughout the day, and in particular, when you are interacting with others, having that vision not on their defects, not seeing the thorn on the other flower, but see the flower, see the colors of the other flower, see the patterns that are beautiful and unique. And even though another flower is different from you, it doesn't mean it's not a good flower. Everyone is a unique flower, and everyone becomes a fragrant flower when that spirituality that you described is shared with many others. Would you like to share a practice for today?
I think for today it would be good to say to yourself, I am a fragrant spiritual rose that are in connection with the Supreme, and say it to yourself every hour. Always when like the time is going from 8 to 9, 8:50, 8:50, 8:59 to 10, always on the whole hour. Say it 3-4 times, and it's guaranteed you will feel the difference when the day is over. You can put a reminder in your phone, write it down on a piece of paper. I am a spiritual, fragrant rose. I spread spiritual vibrations, and I'm constantly in connection with the Supreme. It's a very good practice, and it's create like a elevated feelings. It's change your belief system. So give it a try. Use this elevated mantra or something similar to that, and keep it with you throughout the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We meet again tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.